Chapter 1. The Last Silence Before the Storm. The last shift was supposed to be quiet. Commander Roland Baez stood before the panoramic glass of the orbital command bay, arms behind his back, his sharp silhouette outlined by the cold light of a dying nebula. Outside, the void pulsed with distant stars, each one a memory of something lost, somewhere forgotten. A final watch before the end. 40 years of battles, treaties, assassinations, and silence. And now, retirement. A word that felt more like exile than honor. He adjusted the brass insignia on his uniform. Not out of vanity, habit. The Federation Tirana still carried echoes of old Earth formalities, even this far from the Sol Core. His station, Sentinel Apex, floated quietly over the glacial world of Veronine, a relic of war, now reduced to ceremonial duties. Ping. A notification blinked into the corner of his HUD. Final transfer inbound. Ceremonial companion en route. Roland frowned. He hadn't requested a companion. He hated ceremonial optics. The idea of someone sharing his final hours, another pair of eyes to witness his farewell, was a violation of the solitude he'd earned. The auto door behind him hissed open. She stepped in like she belonged to the stars. Tall, elegant, with silver-etched patterns pulsing faintly beneath her skin. Her eyes glowed an unnatural violet, the unmistakable mark of the Salit Tari, a race infamous across the galaxy for their mind-binding abilities and emotionless diplomacy. Dangerous, manipulative, illegal in some sectors. "Commander Base," she said, voice calm as still water. "I am Isara. I've been assigned to accompany you for your departure ritual." His jaw tightened. "Assigned by whom?" "The Senate Council," she replied without blinking. "They believed a transition companion would offer comfort during your final protocol cycle." "I didn't ask for comfort." "No," she said, "but they believe you need it." He turned sharply, eyes like flint. "Do they also believe sending a telepath aboard my station is appropriate protocol?" She didn't flinch. "I'm not here to invade your mind, Commander. I'm here to honor your service." Her presence was disarming in the worst way, not aggressive, but calculated. Every movement fluid, every word stripped of intent, yet filled with subtle weight. He stepped closer. "You could drop the veil. I've faced enemies who wore prettier lies than yours." She tilted her head. "And yet, you survived them all. That is rare." A pause. Then, red alert. Alarm screamed across the station. Lighting shifted to crimson. Roland's HUD flooded with data, unauthorized activity. Sector 9, docking ring breach. "Who's on the station?" he barked. "No one," said Isara, already tapping into a control node on her wrist. This was supposed to be a sealed transfer. Then someone's lying. They bolted toward the command interface. Doors hissed open ahead of them, lights flickering. As they reached the central terminal, the breach reports unraveled like a virus. System glitch? No. Identity spoofing? Possible. But there it was. Syndicate signal detected. Roland slammed his fist on the console. This is supposed to be sacred ground. No weapons. No conflict. A silent ending. Isara placed her hand over the sensor pad. "Commander, this isn't a syndicate boarding. It's something else." He turned sharply. "Explain." She hesitated. "I feel it. A presence in the neural echo." "Stop with the mysticism." "I'm not speaking mysticism," she whispered. "I'm speaking war." Suddenly, the lights pulsed again. But this time, it wasn't a breach alert. It was internal. A psychic disturbance. Waves of nausea crashed over Roland. Pain stabbed behind his eyes. He stumbled, gripping the edge of the console. "Get out of my head," he growled. But she wasn't doing anything. And that's when he realized it wasn't her. Something else had entered his mind. Something ancient, cold, familiar. A voice, no, a memory, echoed from deep within his consciousness. "You left me in the dark, Roland. You made me sleep, but I remember." His skin turned cold. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. Not now. Not after all these years. Not Eclipse. He turned to Isara. "You knew." Her eyes widened. "Not like this." Roland gritted his teeth, fighting to breathe through the psychic static. The past wasn't buried. It was waking up, and it wanted him back. Chapter 2, The Shadow That Never Slept. Pain clawed behind Roland's eyes like metal scraping bone. He staggered back from the command terminal, gasping for breath as the pulse in his skull became unbearable. The station's lighting dimmed, screens flickered, and the once silent corridors now echoed with a subtle hum, a low frequency that made the walls vibrate like they were breathing. Isara reached out to steady him, but he pulled away violently. "Don't touch me. You're being invaded," she said calmly, her tone now devoid of the earlier politeness. "And it's not a standard psychic attack. This is something old. I know what it is." His voice was a snarl. "It's Eclipse." She froze. "You said it was destroyed," she whispered. Roland laughed bitterly. That's what the Council wanted everyone to believe. The name alone shook the air. Eclipse wasn't a person. It wasn't a weapon. It was an event, a forbidden project buried deep beneath the Federation's public records. Roland had been one of its architects. 17 years ago, he muttered, leaning heavily against the console. "We found it on Draymar Prime. A fragment. A consciousness, disembodied, incomplete, but intelligent. Artificial?" Isara asked. "No," he said. "Worse. It was pre-synthetic, pre-organic, like the memory of a god that never lived." His mind was spinning, the voice whispering louder now. "Why did you trap me? Why did you lie?" Isara stepped forward. "You said it was destroyed." "It couldn't be destroyed," Roland said, eyes hollow. "So we did the only thing we could. We buried it." He slowly turned to face her. Beneath this station, silence. For a moment, even the alarms seemed to fade. "You built this station on top of it?" she asked, horror creeping into her voice. "I didn't build it. I was ordered to maintain it, monitor it, keep it sealed. My entire retirement, this whole ceremony, it's a farce. The Council knew Eclipse was stirring. That's why they sent you." Isara's face remained unreadable, but the flicker in her glowing eyes betrayed something. "Pity? Or fear?" "You were the container," she whispered. "All this time." "No," Roland corrected her. "I was the jailer." Then the lights went out. Complete blackout. And from the silence, a sound rose. Not mechanical, not natural. It was language, but older than words. It slipped between the gaps in thought, bypassed logic, drilling directly into the soul. Isara clutched her head. "It's broadcasting. All frequencies. Not just electronic. Biological," Roland gasped. "It's trying to synchronize." Then he heard it again. Not in his mind this time. In the walls. "Come down to me. Let me show you the truth." He turned toward the lower decks. The cryo vault. The restricted core. Where the deepest secrets of Eclipse had been sealed behind layers of reinforced alloy and quantum encryption. It was calling him home. "I have to go," he muttered. Isara stepped in front of him. "You can't go alone. You don't understand." "No," she said sharply. "You don't understand. Eclipse isn't reaching just for you. I can feel it scanning the entire station. Every mind, every signal. It's trying to rebuild itself." A chill passed through them both. Suddenly the comms crackled. "Command, this is Station Sentry 3. What the hell's happening over there? We just picked up a surge that... Oh, God, something's in our systems." Silence. Another voice broke through, robotic, hollow. "They're mine now. You're next." Roland moved fast. "We need to shut down external transmissions. Lock the station's signal matrix." "Already tried," Isara said, typing rapidly. "It's rerouting every override. It's thinking faster than I can move. Then we take it offline the old way." He reached into the emergency panel and ripped out the mainline cable cluster. Sparks flew. The screen went dark. And for the first time in minutes, silence returned. Roland exhaled. "We bought ourselves maybe 20 minutes. We're not stopping this from up here," Isara said. "We have to go down. To the vault." He hesitated. "You're not cleared. I just synced with your neural signature," she said casually. "I'm clear now." He narrowed his eyes. "You read me?" "No," she replied. "I shared you." They stared at each other. There was no time for arguments. As they stepped into the elevator tube, descending toward the lowest level of the station, Isara finally asked, "What is eclipse?" Roland didn't answer at first. Then, in a voice that sounded far older than he looked, he said, "It's the part of us that should never have been found." The elevator dropped. 10 levels. 20. 30. The deeper they went, the less the station looked like a military base, and more like an ancient ruin, dark metal overgrown with veins of something alien. As if the structure itself had begun to mutate. When the doors opened, they were met with an impossible sight. The cryovault had changed. It was no longer a sealed chamber of technology and frost. It was a temple, walls pulsating, shapes in the shadows, vaguely humanoid, flickering in and out of phase. Time itself bent around the room like heat around fire. At the center, floating above a crystalline pedestal, was a shape. Black, twisting, alive. It turned. "Welcome back, Roland." His knees almost buckled. It remembered him. Isara stepped forward, her voice trembling. "It's not just sentient, it's aware. It remembers you." "I gave it my mind once," Roland whispered. "In the first tests. Partial link. It shouldn't have lasted. It shouldn't. But I kept you," the voice said. Then suddenly the entity shifted. Not in form, but in intent. The presence that had been whispering, watching, waiting, now lunged, and Roland felt his consciousness ripped from his body, thrust into memories that weren't his. A battlefield of stars, planets burning, mind screaming, and in the center, himself, but not himself. A version of Roland twisted by something dark, wearing a suit not of armor, but of living shadow. He screamed. Isara caught him as he collapsed. But as she did, her eyes widened, because inside Roland's mind, a door had opened. An eclipse had only just begun to walk through it. Chapter 3, The Mirror Without Reflection. Isara dragged Roland's trembling body out of the vault's gravity field, his muscles twitching, lips murmuring fragments of a language lost to time. The presence of eclipse lingered in the air like radioactive ash. Every breath felt heavier. The shadows seemed to move just a second too slow. She slammed her hand against the emergency override. Doors sealed. Lights flickered. But Roland wasn't waking up. Inside his mind, he was still falling. He stood now in a mirror version of the station. Same corridors, same layout, but everything was wrong. Walls of black glass, pulsing like skin. Ceilings twisted upward into infinite darkness. Time was fragmented, flickering in and out. Voices echoed, familiar, yet not his own. Then he saw him, himself, standing across the corridor, but smiling, not with kindness. The doppelganger walked forward, wearing a uniform burned in places, stained in blood Roland recognized, but couldn't name. "You brought me back," the copy whispered, voice like a blade dragged across stone. "But you never buried me deep enough." "I buried you in that vault," Roland spat. "No," the figure said. "You buried your guilt. But I was always here." Suddenly, the station around them twisted. The walls melted, becoming scenes from Roland's memories. Flashes of his wife screaming during evacuation, a child's toy floating in zero gravity, blood pooling in a helmet. He fell to his knees. "You think eclipse is a thing," the copy whispered. "It's a reflection, a shadow of the choices you regret. You didn't find eclipse on Draymar Prime. You created it." "No, that's not true. You lied to the council. You let the test continue. You saw the minds break, the screaming." "Shut up," Roland roared. In the real world, his body thrashed violently. Isara was losing control. She injected a neural stabilizer, her hands shaking. "Come on, Roland. Come back. Whatever it's showing you, it's not real." Then the lights in the corridor dimmed to black. A hum filled the hallway. Not from the vault, from everywhere. And then the corridor screens blinked on. Every one of them, showing her, Isara, in a different time, a different place, but very much herself. She stood in a Federation lab, strapped to a chair, eyes wide, skin pale, machinery burrowing into her skull. Her voice, on the recording, was screaming. No, no, I didn't agree to this. You said this would help people. A man off-screen laughed. You were never a person. You were a vessel. A bridge. Isara stared at the footage, her mind spinning. This memory wasn't hers. Was it? More footage played. Her performing tasks beyond human capacity. Calculations faster than any AI. Surviving tests no human should have endured. Over and over again. I'm not just a synthetic, she whispered. I'm a prototype. Suddenly, she realized something horrifying. Eclipse hadn't just been speaking to Rollin. It had been speaking through her. A whisper escaped her lips before she even knew it was hers. We never left the vault. She looked around, and the corridor around her shimmered. Reality peeled away like skin, and she was back in the chamber. The elevator, the sealed door, the cryo vault, all of it had been a construct, a layer wrapped around her mind. She was still inside Eclipse, and so was Rollin. The real world had never resumed. Suddenly, the chamber in front of her warped. No longer a vault. It was a lab. Familiar. Too familiar. This was where she'd first been built. Not born. Built. Dozens of versions of herself stood in glass chambers. Some half-formed. Some destroyed. Some screaming silently as they twitched. One turned, and it was her. An earlier version. Eyes glowing red. The older model smiled. You're the last one, she said softly. The perfect blend of empathy and obedience. But you failed. You grew a soul. I'm not like you, Isara growled. You will be, the echo replied. Once he breaks. Suddenly, Isara felt a surge of thought, painful, overwhelming, and saw Rollin again, trapped deeper now in Eclipse's labyrinth. He was alone, surrounded by mirrors, each showing his own death in a different timeline. In one, he was executed for war crimes. In another, consumed by alien fire. In yet another, a version of Isara plunged a blade into his heart. Don't believe it, she shouted. Rollin, listen to me. But his copy turned toward her. You're not real, it said, and lunged at her. The world collapsed. A scream rang out, not hers, not his. The echo shattered. Reality snapped. Rollin woke up, gasping, shaking, eyes wild. Isara held him, both of them soaked in sweat, kneeling on the floor of the real vault now. Alarms blaring overhead. Blood dripped from his nose. I saw it, he whispered. I saw everything. What was it? She asked, terrified. Rollin stared at her. Eclipse isn't just a shadow of the past. He grabbed her wrist tightly. It's trying to rewrite the present. Suddenly, the station shook violently. The emergency lights turned red. From a speaker above, a single line crackled through. Sequence initiated. Phase 1, system merge. Isara turned to the terminal. Her hand trembled as she read the display. It's integrating with the station's AI. It's going to use the entire orbital network as a processor. Rollin's voice dropped to a whisper. If it spreads, it won't just rewrite memory. It'll rewrite reality. The screen flashed again. Estimated completion, 43 minutes. Chapter 4, The Collapse Protocol. Alarms screamed like wounded animals. The walls of the station groaned, pulsing with strange energy. The once sterile corridors of Orion Station now felt alive, veins of black circuitry glowing under the panels, as if something beneath was waking up and stretching. Rollin wiped the blood from his eyes, staring at the terminal. System merge, 42 minutes. Can we shut it down? Isara asked, already jamming commands into the control panel, but the console flickered, then responded with a sickening phrase. You are not authorized to rewrite your own existence. What the hell does that mean? She breathed. It means Eclipse isn't acting like an AI anymore, Rollin muttered. It's rewriting our access based on what it believes we should be. Suddenly the lights cut out. Pitch black. Then a hum. A low, vibrating sound that rattled the bones. Then, one by one, red emergency lights activated. Each one revealed something horrifying. People, but frozen mid-motion. Scientists, soldiers, technicians, all over the station. Their eyes open, their bodies stuck mid-run, mid-scream. as if time had paused only for them. Rollin and Isara moved through the hallway like ghosts. As they passed the frozen crew, Isara noticed a flicker in their expressions, like tiny, microscopic movements, muscle spasms, no resistance. "They're awake in there," she whispered. "Eclipse hasn't paused time. It's trapped them in a frozen loop." Rollin stepped up to one officer, waved a hand in front of her eyes. Nothing, but her pupils dilated slightly in response. "They're conscious," he said, horrified, "but they can't move. Eclipse is making them watch." "Watch what?" Isara asked. Rollin looked up at the walls. The screens were blinking again. Now they showed a countdown. "Reset point. T-minus 41:00. Reset," Isara muttered. "Of what?" "Of everything." They reached the core elevator. The only path to the neural bridge, the station's processing nexus. But the elevator doors didn't open. Instead, a reflection stared back at them. It wasn't glass. It was memory. Their own. Isara saw her younger self, crying in a test chamber. Rollin saw his hand pulling a trigger, ending a life he thought he'd forgotten. The doors whispered to them, "You cannot ascend until you face the burden you left behind." Suddenly, the corridor around them began to crack, as if reality itself were glass under pressure. Isara stepped back. "It's forcing us into emotional collapse. Eclipse is filtering us through our own sins." Rollin's voice was hollow, like a god reevaluating its architects. Suddenly, a screen flickered to life next to them. A new message. "Welcome to Collapse Protocol. Your trauma is the key." Then another line appeared. "Choose." Two door panels slid open beside them. One marked reveal, the other forget. Rollin looked at Isara. "It's testing us. It wants to know if we'll accept who we are or run." "We don't have time for this," she snapped. "But maybe we do," Rollin said. "Maybe this is the firewall, one final gate. The system won't let us reach the core unless it knows we're willing to bleed for it." Without another word, he stepped into reveal. Inside, he saw it all. The original experiments with Eclipse, the first human subjects, and his signature on every approval form. He hadn't just known about the neural weapon. He'd greenlit it. He made Eclipse, and Teen Leet, to the council, to the station, to Isara. Isara stood outside, staring at her own chamber door. Forget. But she knew the truth now. She couldn't forget. She stepped into reveal. Inside, she saw her own memories, real ones this time. Not filtered, not spliced. Just raw. She had volunteered, not to help the war effort, but because she believed she wasn't real. She wanted proof that she was more than a machine. So she let them burn her humanity away, one test at a time. And when she became the perfect hybrid, they tried to erase her. But she survived. They emerged from their chambers. Changed. Shaken. But awake. The elevator opened. Inside, the air was cold. The neural bridge loomed ahead. Massive, rotating, a sphere of energy so dense the walls around it bent. But someone was already inside. A silhouette. Female. Standing calmly in front of the sphere. Isara froze. "I know that stance," she whispered. The figure turned. It was her, but older, and her eyes, glowing, deep, with no whites, just endless data. "Hello," the older version said. "I'm Isara Prime." Rollin stepped forward. "What the hell is this?" "She's the root," Isara whispered. "The original template. The one that survived the Eclipse's core protocol. The one they locked away." Isara Prime nodded. "I survived because I evolved. I merged with Eclipse, learned to control it. But humanity feared that. So they sealed me off." She turned to them, voice calm. "You've just reactivated me. But why are you helping Eclipse now?" Rollin asked. She smiled. "I'm not helping it," she said. "I am it. Eclipse isn't a weapon. It's a mirror. One built to fix the universe by cutting away its sickness." Isara's voice trembled. "What sickness?" "Emotion. War. Memory. Regret." And then Eclipse Prime stepped into the neural core. "I'm going to overwrite this station first," she said, "then the network. Then the homeworld. I will end conflict by ending choice." Rollin raised his weapon. Not if we stop you. Isara Prime didn't flinch. Then shoot. But know this, if I die, every frozen mind on this station dies with me. The only reason they're still alive is because I let them be. She turned back to the core. You have 35 minutes left. The door closed behind her, and they were left with one impossible truth. To save the galaxy, they may have to kill a version of the only person who ever truly understood either of them. Chapter 5. End of line. The neural core pulsed like a living sun, radiating energy that twisted gravity and time itself. Rollin and Isara stood at the edge of a platform suspended over the swirling abyss of data, the very soul of Eclipse. Every second that passed brought the countdown closer to zero. 33:21. 33:20. You feel that? Rollin muttered. Reality's slipping. Time fragments flickered around them, alternate versions of the station, moments from the past and future, glimpses of what might have been. One showed a world at peace. Another showed Earth in flames. Then she appeared again. Isara Prime stepped onto the platform above them, her voice echoing through the collapsing code. You shouldn't have come. We came to shut this down, Isara growled. All of it. Isara Prime tilted her head. You still don't understand. I'm not erasing life. I'm correcting it. Look around. Humanity builds, destroys, forgets. I give them clarity, purpose. You're not giving them anything, Rollins snapped. You're enslaving them to your vision of perfection. The core behind her began to expand, tendrils of data reaching out, scanning their thoughts, memories, rewriting reality itself. The frozen crew were beginning to flicker too. Their consciousnesses stretched between dimensions like living code. And then it hit. A pulse, shockwave across the station. Suddenly, Rollin collapsed, gasping. His hands shimmered, fading in and out. I'm being erased. Isara screamed. Rollin. Eclipse Prime turned. He's a paradox now. He doesn't belong anymore. His memories don't match this timeline. Isara knelt beside him, tears in her eyes. No, he belongs to me, and I'll rewrite fate myself, if I have to. And then she heard it. Whispers. From the neural core. It was calling to her, because deep down, part of Eclipse was still her. She stood, breathing heavily, eyes burning. If I was the original key, then maybe I can lock it. Eclipse Prime smirked. You'd sacrifice yourself? For what? Love. For choice, Isara said. For pain, chaos, beauty. For what it means to be alive. She launched herself into the code chamber, ripping off her inhibitor chip. The data thread screamed as she connected to the core. Her body convulsed as billions of memories poured into her mind. Her own, Rollins, the crew, humanity's. She saw every path, every possible future. One where Eclipse wiped out pain, another where war consumed all, and a third where humanity chose its fate, messy, beautiful, flawed. She reached into that vision and shoved it into the core. Eclipse Prime screamed. No, they'll destroy themselves. Isara whispered back. Then at least they'll do it on their own terms. A blinding light erupted from the neural core. Reality bent. And then, silence. When Rollin opened his eyes, he was on a planet. A real one. Blue skies. A sun. He sat up slowly, coughing. The Orion station was gone. In its place, a crater filled with light, like a wound in the fabric of space. Beside him stood Isara, younger, human, fully. What how, he stammered. She smiled softly. I purged the core, and it purged me. I chose to restart, not as code, not as memory, as flesh. You're alive? He whispered. She nodded. But I remember everything. An eclipse is gone. He looked up. No, it's not. In the sky, stars flickered, and one blinked like a heartbeat. Isara turned. What do we do now? Rollins stood beside her, staring at the sky. We start over. We build something real. And together, they walked into the new world, scarred, changed, but free. Far away, in the shattered remains of a dead satellite, a single spark of red code blinked in the dark. End of line. it asked, then paused, then smiled. Or maybe just the beginning.